So what Harold was telling us is exactly true. We want to multiply the numerator k plus 2 times the denominator on the opposite side. So we want to multiply the terms that are across from each other. We have the denominator here times the numerator over here. So that's how we're setting up the equation. This essentially has eliminated my fraction. Now, the thing about this is I want to make sure that you are writing, the method is only applicable when we have one fraction on the left-hand side, an equal sign in the middle, and a fraction on the right-hand side. Otherwise, we cannot perform cross multiplication. We would have to do what we did before, which is multiply both sides by the lowest common multiple, which is 15.
That's an option of what a problem would look like. You guys see how there's a letter?
Okay, so we've set up 5 times k plus 2, 3 times k minus 4. So what do we do next, grade 9? Mia?
Each problem has a letter in the upper corner.
Yes, we're going to do the distributive property next. We have done this before, the distributive property. So we'll scroll down. Oh, yes. So this question, if we go back, we have done this before. If we go back to your original question, remember, we did this 5 times k plus 2, 3 times k minus 4. And we got our answer. We've already done this problem. The only thing that we did differently is here, we used another method for eliminating the fraction. We used a tougher method, which is multiplying both sides by the lowest common multiple. So this was actually already in your notes. I find that cross multiplying is the easier method for eliminating the fraction. So if you can write in your notes, we did this before.
Okay. The last way you can get your name in the drop is, so once I call you guys back to class, so I don't know what time. So, over an hour. We'll see. So it's cool. But I'm going to invite you guys all back. I'm going to pick a question at random of the 12. Your group happen to solve that one, then you're going to get into it. So the more problems you solve, the better your chances getting that third option. Does that make sense? Okay. Now here's what I mean. So for the in-class students, I want you guys to be using chart paper and markers. Number one, you're going to be wandering the halls, right? So if you have chart paper and markers, and teachers are less likely to stop you and ask what you're doing, you say, doing a math scavenger hunt. You got chart papers and markers.
Okay, let's write this question down too. With the big, large no. Can you use cross multiplication for this question? Absolutely no. Can someone tell me why we cannot, Miranda? Yes. There's an extra piece to the puzzle, which is the -7. So we cannot do it because there is an extra piece
How many problem types or problems?
of the puzzle.
There are 12 cards. 12 cards because there's 12 letters. Yeah, mystery phrase.
Extra piece of the puzzle, that -7.
Okay.
There is no fraction on one side and fraction on the other side.
Keep it down a little bit.
So take a second to write this down.
Figure out your groups.
Okay. Got a noisy group on the side, so. Pardon?
Okay, folks.
Yes, yes, but don't tell them that's cheating.
So I'm going to start inviting groups to the hallway.
Now, after we finish our lesson, I want to show you something cool that our principal has actually been very impressed seeing you kids in the hallway doing their math. So he bought us something. I'm going to show you in a second. And we don't have enough yet to start using them, but as soon as I get enough, I'm going to use it for the whole class. But it's exciting for me, and I want to show you. Okay, next question. You see we have a fraction on the left-hand side and a fraction on the right-hand side. I want you to write this down and write the circles just the way that I have been writing the circles as well. So 5 minus 2x over 3, 15x minus 7 over 2. I'll give you a second to write that down. I don't want to. Sorry, I didn't. And if we want to write the cross multiplication step, we have 3 times 15x minus 7, 2 times 5 minus 2x. Now, students will ask, does it matter if I do the 2 times 5 minus 2x on the left-hand side and the 3 times 15x minus 7 on the right-hand side? Harold, does it matter? It doesn't matter. You'll always get the same answer anyway when you start moving things around, and you're going to see that in a second. But what is my next step? What do I want to do next? Justin looks confident over there. Distributive property. Great. Distributive property.
I'll bring it with
Okay, so notice I'm not writing out my distributive property step anymore. That means now that we're done the distributive property test, because these questions require a lot of steps, you can actually apply the distributive property without writing out the step. If it helps you to write out the step, definitely do that. So we have 3 times 15x is 45x. 3 times -7, -21. Personally, I prefer to write out the steps because it cuts down on errors, but I'm not going to ask you, make it required for you, okay? Now, why have I highlighted the -21 and the -4x? Why are those highlighted, Marcus? Yes, those have to move over to the other side. That's what I want you to really study this weekend. So when I move it over, the -4x turns into a +4x. The -21 turns into a +21. I want you to try to solve this at this point. Try to solve this from here.
I'm gonna let everyone go.
Okay, so this part is a little bit tricky. I want you to take a second to figure it out to see how you can solve that, and I'll be right back.
Oh, just let me start.
Mine show up on Fridays. So how do I simplify this a little bit more, William? Yes, how do I change it into a fraction though, Kelly? Yes, we're dividing both sides. So notice this fraction's a little bit more difficult than what I've given you in the past. 49x divided by 49, 31 divided by 49.
Here's what's gonna happen, guys. You guys are gonna-
So can we reduce this fraction? No, they don't have anything in common. So there we go. They don't have anything in common.
This is what's fine. Solve them all. Okay. All the letters are clear. You guys are practice that. Yeah, that's what I'm not. Okay, let's get started. Any questions? Okay, good luck. I'll be like, I think this one over.
Okay, let's start the next one. Now, can we use cross multiplication for this one?
No.
Why can we not? What is the rule, Jessica? Yes, we have to have one fraction on the left-hand side, one fraction on the right-hand side. That means to get rid of the fraction, I'm going to multiply both sides by the lowest common denominator, which is 4, to eliminate that fraction. To eliminate that fraction. Okay. Now, when we eliminate the fraction, again, grade 9, this is a huge mistake students do, is they only, I say, oh, I'm going to eliminate the fraction 4 times 1/4 x. And they forget to multiply the positive 3. So I want you to make sure to write down multiply by every term. Multiply by every term.
You guys can just try and solve that. Okay. I'm gonna do an out of but okay, go ahead.
So what multiply by every term looks like is the 4 has to be multiplied by the first term, the 4 has to be multiplied by the second term, and the 4 has to be multiplied by the right-hand side, which I've done. 4 times 2 is 8. The more steps you have on your test, the better. The last test I marked was one of the highest tests of the course so far, because you've gotten so much better since your elementary school experience with showing steps, showing your process, understanding that I cannot mark what's in your brain. I can only mark what's in your brain if you write it down, every step of the process. The more steps, the happier I am, okay? So over here, when I do the multiplication, I get x plus 12 is equal to 8. What do I have to move over to the other side? Winston. 12, positive 12. What happens when it moves over, William? It becomes a negative 12. So x is equal to 8 minus 12. X is equal to negative 4. I wish the colors were showing up, but I got a new cable and the colors are not showing up. That's okay. They'll show up. I'm planning to put a video of this on my YouTube channel and putting a link, because this is the hardest lesson I've taught you so far. I'm going to put a link. That way to study, you could try to watch the videos. I'm going to put multiple videos, maybe 3 videos that you can watch to help prepare you, because I know the next test is challenging. So I'm going to put it up on my YouTube channel and give you the ability to watch on your phone, watch whenever you would like to help study. I know I used to love just studying by watching things. Sometimes it's not easy to study by just reading what you wrote. It helps to watch and listen. So I will do that for you this weekend. Okay, now this is a question very similar. Remember, this used to be a grade 9 academic course, and this is a question that would come up on the test quite a bit. Now, I have simplified the test compared to what it was last year, but I still want to teach you those concepts, because some of you are going to choose to go to grade 10 academic, grade 11 academic, and those questions are going to be more challenging. So please write this on down. Make sure each term on both sides are multiplied by the lowest common denominator. So kids, because the next time the test is going to be super challenging, next week, so this week I had a chocolate prize that some students in this class won. Next time I see you, the prize is going to be bigger. I'm not going to tell you what it is, but it's going to be a pretty good prize for the winning group because that week is a bit of a challenging week in terms of tests. I'll let you know what that is next time. Okay, this is another situation where we cannot cross multiply, but I have to pay special attention to the denominators. What is the lowest common denominator? What is that? Oh, so many hands. I love seeing this. Thomas.
15.
15. So that means I have to multiply every single term by 15. Every single term. So it was such a long equation that I had to continue the right-hand side over here. So I have 15 times 1 over 5m, 15 times 2/3, 15 times -2, 15 times m, 15 times -2 over 5. The second step is I have to cancel out the denominators. So 5 goes into 15 3 times, 3 goes into 15 5 times. And the denominator over here, 5 goes into 15 again 3 times. So I had to eliminate my denominators. That's a long step, so I'm going to give you a minute to copy that out.
Okay, any questions? That's okay? Okay, good luck. I'll be in a minute. Okay, guys, what do you about? Oh, no, right, you should be. Yes, you guys should be. Please, yeah. Don't always think about the problem. No.
Okay, once we've eliminated by writing that step down, then we can multiply the new numerators. 3 times 1m is 3m. 5 times 2 is 10. 5 times -2, -13. 30, sorry. 15 times m is 15m. 3 times -2 is -6. So we can write that step down as well. Now, why have I drawn those arrows on the screen? What's the purpose of that? Oh, goodness, William. Why are they moving over, though? Yes, collecting like terms. Yes, Miranda.
Excuse me, but how did you actually manage to get 30 out of 5 times 2?
It's not 5, remember, it's 15 times -2, right? You have to be very careful when you're recording the answers.
I'm so confused.
It's okay, I can go over this question.
Confusing.
I can go over this question. So let's take a little break from the question and ask Mr. Bullock to explain his little game he's playing
Sure.
over there.
So my grade 12s. Here, I have to grab something. I'll show you again. So
Okay.
we're doing a scavenger hunt.
Mm. We will do it. We'll do it next time when we're learning slopes, okay?
So this is an example of the type of problems we're doing in grade 12. This is called solving rational inequalities.
Wait, what do you guys notice here? What do we have?
Fraction.
Fractions.
And this is an inequality. You guys remember this from elementary school? greater than, less than, greater than,
Yeah.
equal to, less than, equal to, right?
There's also a left-hand side and a right-hand side, what we're doing right now.
So what I've done is I've posted, this is one type of problem, another type has an equal sign, another type is like a rates of change problem, which you guys will be seeing a little bit. But I posted 12 of them around the school, and I'm giving away gift cards to teams that can solve the most problems. And you see that there's a letter in the corner of each problem. So I've created a mystery phrase for the students, and if they collect all the letters and figure out what the mystery phrase is, they can enter the draw for some gift cards too. Okay, so they're all around the school right now, just walking around solving problems and the scavenger hunt. That's what they're doing. Okay, makes sense. Yeah,
Thank
good. So I'm gonna be in the main level just for a little bit.
Okay. See, we have to pass grade 9 math so we can get to grade 12 math one day. But we'll do a scavenger hunt. I think I might give you some marks actually for the scavenger hunt as well. So that can bump up your grades a little bit. Okay. So when we move things over, the positive 15m, when it moves over, it becomes negative 15m. The positive 10, when it moves over, it becomes negative 10. Negative 30, when it moves over, it becomes positive 30.
Understand this entire thing.
Okay, Lorinda, let's wait until end of class and then I'll go over it with you, okay? So the sides have to, the like terms have to be grouped together. And then when I perform my integer operations correctly, I get positive 3 minus 15 is negative 12. 6 minus 10 plus 30 gives me positive 14. How do I get m by itself now, though? How do I get m by itself, Kelly? Divide both sides by 12. And it's actually negative 12. I have to divide both sides by negative 12. You cannot forget the negative in front of the 12. Can I leave my answer like that?
No.
Definitely no, because first of all, there's not a you're not allowed to have a sign in the denominator. Also, we can reduce this fraction. Can anyone tell me what the final answer would be? Let's see, Camilla. Yes, very good, very good. And remember, in high school, I allow improper fractions, unlike some elementary school rules. So positive and a negative make it negative. Both of these can be divided by 2, so I get 7 over 6 when I divide them by 2. And that is my final answer. Okay. Let's see how many more we have. Okay, just a few more. Here's another one. Again, I have fractions on the left-hand side and fractions on the right-hand side, but can I use the cross multiplication, Justin?
No,
Because there's multiple fractions. Good. So I cannot use cross multiplying when I have multiple fractions. It's only, remember the note I made, one fraction on the left-hand side, one fraction on the right-hand side. That's the only time I can cross multiply. So I will have to use the strategy of lowest common multiple. What is the lowest common multiple between 2 and 3? Let's see, Justin at the back.
6.
6, good. So I'm multiplying everything by 6. Hey, Daniel, I haven't called on you in a long time. How many times does 2 go into 6, Daniel?
3.
Yes, and how many times does 3 go into 6?
2.
Very good. So what I can do is cross out the 2. Oops. Again. Cross out the 2 and the 6, turn that into 3. Cross out the 2 and the 6, turn that into 3. Cross out the 3, 3 goes into 6 2 times. Okay, that is eliminating the denominator. I don't like fractions. I don't want to work with the fractions. I want to eliminate the fractions. So it looks like something like this. That's how I rewrite the question when I've eliminated the fraction. Now, this is why we did a distributive property test, because if I don't understand distributive property, I'm not going to understand what to do next after eliminating the fraction. So now we apply the distributive property. Notice I'm not asking you to write out the steps anymore. I'm confident that you've practiced distributive property enough so you can do it in your head. 3 times 3x is 9x. 3 times x is 3x. 3 times -4 is -12. 2 times x is 2x. 2 times 14 is +28. Okay, so I've done my distributive property. What do I have to do next? What do I have to do next? How do I do this? Yes, I have to move the 2x over to the left-hand side, and I have to move the -12 to the right-hand side. Can you try doing that for a second, grade 9? Okay, so when I move everything over, how many x's do you get? Has anyone got that far, will you? 3, okay, let's see. 9 plus 3 minus 2, oh, close. 9 plus 3 is 12x minus 2x, right? And then we have 28, -12, when it moves over, it becomes a +12. So you should get 10x is equal to 40. 10x is equal to 40. Will I get full marks if I put that on the test? No. What do I have to do next? What do I have to do? Can you?
Just divide both sides by 10.
Yes, divide both sides by 10. So I get a very, look, it started off with a complicated question, but a very simple answer. X is equal to 4. Promise?
Can I get a question?
You want some
Yeah.
extra questions? Yeah. Yeah, our homework is going to be full of things like that, right? So I will, I'll give you some extra ones in the textbook, okay? That's a good idea. Maybe I'll post a practice test if the students want to practice some more questions like this. I will post some examples with fractions. Okay, now this is a bit different. Notice, hold on, we can solve this 2 ways. Let's see if yeah. Okay, so this question I'm not going to do. I'm just going to leave this in the printed notes because it's fairly simple. It's a simple example where I'm multiplying both sides by 4 to get rid of the 4. Actually, I should do this. Let's do this example, okay? I'm multiplying both sides of the equation by 4. So let me use my highlighter tool to really reinforce, and I want you to reinforce. you cannot just multiply the left-hand side by 4. You also have to multiply the right, okay. You also have to multiply the right-hand side by 4. Otherwise, you haven't truly eliminated the fraction. You have to do it to both sides. Otherwise, you have not eliminated the fraction. The left-hand side and the right-hand side are balanced. So without eliminating it, it's not balanced. So what this looks like now, it turns into a simple distributive property question where I have 3 times x plus 3 is equal to 4 times 9. And then it becomes distributive property, group the like terms on one side and solve. So the hardest part would be eliminating the fraction. Once we get past eliminating the fraction, the rest of the question becomes quite easy to solve. So I would even encourage you to write these questions down and cover your notes and try to solve it without looking at your notes. That way you can really figure out if you truly understand the question. Well, you're going to have a chance, Lorenda, in your groups to truly understand. Okay, let's see. We do not have Adrian. Okay, last one. Okay, can I use cross multiplication for this one? Justin's hand was already up.
Yes.
Yes, why can I use cross multiplication, Harold? Yes, one fraction on the left-hand side, one fraction on the right-hand side with an equal sign in the middle. So those are the easiest type of fraction questions because right away I can set it up as a cross multiplying situation. I can apply the distributive property 6 times x, 6 times -5, 3 times x, 3 times 10. Even though I'm not requiring you to write out the distributive property, I strongly recommend that you do. I've just noticed after years of teaching grade 9 that students make less mistakes when they write out the steps. But if you feel very confident in your skills, then you can go straight to executing the distributive property. You have to remember after executing in the distributive property, the -30 moves over to the other side. It becomes +30. The 3x moves over to the other side. It becomes -3x. Then we have to collect like terms and isolate the x. How am I going to isolate the x in this particular example? How do I get the x by itself? William? Divide both sides by 3, so I get x is equal to 12. Right? So, yes, Harold. Yeah, I will. But it's actually already on our Google Drive. I posted it, so I'm going to reveal it in a second. So kids, math is like sewing together a quilt. You need all the pieces you've learned before to put it together. Even when we get to slope, we take a little break from algebra. We take a break for maybe a week, and then we go back into slope and linear relationships with algebra again. So algebra are like, it's a thread we need to sew everything together. You saw the scavenger hunt Mr. Bullock is doing. Algebra is required over there, right? So grade 9 is the time that you get confident, We're doing these groups. We will have a scavenger hunt like what they're doing soon. Let me just stop sharing for a second.